Ready? Let's do this. We're now at Mark chapter 15, and this chapter describes the very final moments as Jesus is crucified. They describe how Jesus was brought before Pilate, how he received this sham trial, how he was found essentially to be not guilty, yet nevertheless given the sentence of a guilty person. Sent to be crucified. He was mocked, he was flogged, and he was shamed. To be crucified was the most shameful and horrific form of execution, devised to be the most horrific way to die. You were paraded before the crowds of people, and in Jesus' case, they were mocking him, they were laughing at him, beating him as he was dragged before them, and then hung up on a cross publicly before the vast crowds, naked, bleeding, dying in agony. That was what happened to Jesus at the end. What had Jesus spent his life doing? I mean, you've been with us along this journey. He looked after people. He loved people. He healed people. He fed people. He taught people. The most broken people came to him. The most broken people found in Jesus a friend, someone who affirmed them and loved them and loved them. How is it possible that a man like this would die the most scandalous, brutal, shameful death in this way? And you have to ask that question. The historical evidence, of course, attests to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. No one has been written about in the same detail as Jesus has, and of course his death and his crucifixion remains very vivid and stark even today. I mean, I wonder if even now, maybe you have a cross on your neck. You certainly see many people wearing that figure, that sign of the crucifixion, a sign actually of the most brutal, horrific execution of all time. What was it all about? Why did he do it? So if he had the power to heal the sick, to calm the storms, if he had that kind of power, which he showed he did, why did he let himself be dragged to a cross in this awful way? Why did he allow himself to be nailed to the cross in this terrible way? Why was it necessary for him to die? These are all really important questions, I think, for us to reflect on and consider. I just want to read a few verses to you. This is the final moments as Jesus is being crucified. So this is Mark 15, verse 33. At the 6th hour, darkness came over the whole land until the 9th hour. And at the 9th hour, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? When some of those standing near heard this, they said, Listen, he's calling Elijah. One man ran, filled a sponge with vinegar, put it on a stick and offered it to Jesus to drink. Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to take him down, he said. With a loud cry, Jesus breathed his last. The curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And when the centurion who stood there in front of Jesus heard his cry and saw how he died, he said, Surely this man was the Son of God. When he saw how he died, this centurion, this soldier who was stood by watching all of these things happening, he stood by and heard Jesus. As Jesus was crucified, what did he say? He said, Father, forgive them, they know not what they're doing. As the thieves who were next to him were mocking him, save yourself, save us. That's a fair request if you are suffering like this. One of the other gospel accounts records how one of the thieves actually turned round and rebuked the other. He essentially said, how can you speak to him like this? We're getting what we deserve, yet this man is innocent of the crime. And he said to Jesus, Jesus, would you remember me when you enter into your kingdom? In a beautiful moment when Jesus turned round to that thief and said to him, truly I say unto you, today you will join me in paradise. One of the most beautiful moments in the whole Bible. And this centurion is stood by the cross, seeing and hearing all of this take place. Despite the taunts, despite the accusations, knowing maybe the rumors of Jesus, hearing maybe of his power and of his miracles, he sees him dying with some profound dignity. And he sees the skies go black and feels the immensity of this moment. He would have seen thousands crucified, but not one like this. And he came to this realization, surely he was the Son of God. Now let me ask you, who do you say Jesus is? It was a question Jesus asked his disciples. Who do you say that I am? Who do you believe Jesus to be? The centurion watching him die, even before the news of his resurrection, even before Jesus walked out of the tomb, just in watching him die said, surely he's the Son of God. There was something so wonderful, so profound, so different about how he died that led to this soldier believing him to truly be the Messiah, the Christ, the Son of God. Now let me tell you this, once you come to that realization, once you see Jesus as more than just a historical figure, more than just a religious leader, when you come to see Jesus as the Son of God, everything changes in terms of everything you're reading here. All of a sudden, these aren't just reports, these aren't just accounts of a historical figure. This is God come to the world to suffer, to die, to be crucified for you, for me. It has profound meaning that is ultimately life-changing. The cross is God's response to a world of evil and darkness. The cross, where God himself enters into the depth of depravity and sin and shame. At the cross, God experienced something that you and I will never fully experience. Utter depravity, utter sin, utter darkness, utter dereliction. Jesus cried, why have you forsaken me? The sense of isolation, of being alone, of suffering was without comparison, really. Jesus' suffering went even further and deeper than the physical agony of a crucifixion. It was the spiritual, it was the emotional, it was the being so profoundly alone. And he did this to rescue us, to help us, to save us, to give us hope beyond the grave. So that just as surely as Jesus was resurrected from his true bodily death, so you and I are given that promise that we will rise again, that we will see him, that we will meet him face to face, and that we will be with him forevermore, and that like that thief who received paradise, you and I might enter into a paradise with Jesus forever. That's why we call this the gospel, which means good news. It is good news that you can know today.